rumor ripped through Hollywood like wildfire. Netflix has officially terminated its $100 million partnership with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Once hailed as the ultimate content power couple, the Sussexes are now allegedly being labeled by executives as toxic. Not underperforming, not disappointing, toxic. And according to multiple insiders, this wasn't a quiet goodbye. This was a rupture. The kind that leaves boardrooms in flames and reputations in ruins.
The whole Meghan Markle situation has been getting out of control, not just over at Netflix, but also at other studios ever since she posted that viral video, that pregnancy video, that really backfired not just on whatever was left of her image, or even, of course, what she actually likes to pretend herself as some form of an actress, as some kind of a personality, whatever it may be.
And I said, that's really nice. And then the next call was like, he's British. And I said, well, that's really nice. And then eventually the third time around it was like, he's a prince. And Harry asked for her hand over the phone. And I said, you're a gentleman. Promise me you'll never raise your hand against my daughter. And of course, I give you my permission.
Netflix, the very platform that gave the Sussexes global storytelling power, is now walking away and slamming the door on the way out. Even more shocking, the couple's alleged reaction. According to whispers out of Archewell, Meghan and Harry are furious. Not just blindsided, not just disappointed. They're lashing out, and this time, even their own staff can't contain the damage. But this wasn't a sudden decision. The warning signs had been there for months. Netflix insiders point to a single spark that lit the fuse.
We already know that Meghan Markle is desperately clinging to whatever opportunity arises to stay in the limelight, to stay in the spotlight as, of course, a so-called actress. That's basically what she's trying to do.
The Duchess of Sussex talks publicly for the very first time about her father and her half-sister, Samantha Markle. She tells Oprah how she felt when she found out her dad was working with the tabloids.
Once they did, I remember being told there was a huge headline like, we found him or we've got him. You're talking about someone's father. And from that point, the tabloids, they moved into the apartment next door and across from him.
The Polo docuseries. Billed as a sleek, exclusive look into Prince Harry's passion project, the series was hyped, marketed, and pushed heavily. But when it dropped, crickets. Viewers tuned in, then immediately tuned out. Reviews ranged from awkwardly self-promotional to shockingly boring. One critic called it a vanity reel disguised as a documentary. Another said, it made the Kardashians look grounded. Engagement metrics allegedly came in far lower than expected.
Now, we already know that many studios are beginning to really find her very repulsive based on her behavior, not just in the public eye, but also within Netflix, all right? Now, what's interesting here has a lot more to do with the entire Meghan Markle firings situation and exactly what's going on there ever since the viral video really went viral across not just social media, but also within the corporate ladder.
Did it feel like betrayal when you found out your father was working with the tabloids?
I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that. If we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, which is also a really key point in all this, they don't report the news, they create the news.
The royals owe me. Harry owes me. Meghan owes me. What I've been through, I should be rewarded for.
International numbers were flat. U.S. viewership dipped after the first episode. Worse, social media mocked it. Clips went viral for all the wrong reasons. TikToks showed users falling asleep mid-episode. YouTubers roasted the tone-deaf narration. Memes flooded Reddit. Internally, Netflix saw the writing on the wall. Their $100 million investment was producing nothing but headlines, and not the good kind.
Now, what's interesting about all of this is that we already know that Meghan Markle is actually trying to do whatever that she can do to fund her own programs, to fund her own projects as well. You know, we already know that she has backup plans to actually fund her very own reality TV series if no other studio picks it up. We already know that she's trying to get MTV.
Meghan Markle, she may have stepped down from royal duties more than 5 years ago, but she keeps taking aim at the monarchy. The Duchess of Sussex has made reportedly at least half a dozen swipes at the royal family this year, and it's only June.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
She talks like she's a one-woman band. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
And still being a mom.
That is
still
not
being
what
a
happens to
mom.
her.
And so they moved. The polo backlash wasn't just embarrassing. It was reportedly the final straw. Sources inside Netflix claim that following the dismal reception, executives began freezing all future Sussex development deals. An animated project? Quietly shelved. Rumored scripted drama Meghan was pitching? Dead on arrival. Even conversations around a "with love" Meghan follow-up were ghosted entirely. They lost faith. One anonymous producer allegedly said, "There's no audience. There's no trust. There's no return." Executives were reportedly furious that after 4 years and $100 million, they were still begging for meaningful content.
Did you see my baby mama dance?
I mean, stop it. First of all, can I just tell you the timing of that? We maybe watched it like 20 times yesterday, and I was like, is that her?
Oh my God.
Is that Prince Harry there with the fingers and the... I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, by the way, that wasn't yesterday.
No,
that was 4 years ago. So it's also a really great reminder that with all the noise or whatever people do, there's still a whole life, a real, authentic, fun life that's happening behind the scenes. I'm just grateful that now, being back on social as well, I have a place where I can share it on my own terms.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. It's so authentic, isn't it?
Meghan and Harry had promised to uplift and inspire global audiences. Instead, insiders say they delivered entitlement, control issues, and flat storytelling. Worse, the couple's team allegedly demanded control over editing, tone, and even casting choices for future projects, an unprecedented level of creative interference for non-industry professionals. Netflix, already burned by prior celebrity deals gone wrong, finally cut the cord. And just like that, the Sussexes went from platinum partners to persona non grata.
She spreads her legs, she hikes her dress, she circles her genitals.
It's about an hour-long cab ride, never seen his grandchildren. This show is packed with a kind of spurious claims and hypocrisy that have become the Sussex signature. We learned they began making videos about their heroic journey 6 months before their Netflix deal was even announced, and right at the start of a pandemic that was killing.
Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch. About the end of every episode, it says, like, the starring, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Yes.
That's how she's...
So, why did the Sussexes go from media darlings to media deadweight? According to multiple PR experts, it's simple. They became toxic. Not controversial. Not complicated. Toxic. Brand analysts say the public has grown tired of the never-ending narrative, royal trauma, misunderstood genius, the villainy of the press. What was once gripping has now become, in the words of one media strategist, a never-ending pity party. And with every new project, the couple allegedly doubled down on the same message. We were wronged. We deserve more. We are truth-tellers. But audiences, especially in the brutally competitive streaming world, want new stories, not rehashed grudges. And Netflix? It's a numbers game. And the Sussexes weren't just losing numbers, they were tanking them. The brand that once stood for hope, independence, and defiance now stands for overexposure, underperformance, and delusion. And in Hollywood, that's a death sentence. Inside the industry, the resentment is growing. Quietly, bitterly. Producers, directors, and showrunners, many with decades of experience, watched in horror as Netflix handed the Sussexes carte blanche access and a $100 million check. And for what? A handful of projects, most of which underperformed or never saw daylight.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK, which is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
Harry and Meghan are the problem. And while we're going to go all over all the people that they've hired, Just as a great reminder, the couple have hired plenty of professionals before. People at high levels who have worked for Bill Gates, Patagonia, all these sorts of things. And yet none of them have been successful. The common denominator in everything here is Harry and Meghan.
They blocked 3 rising creators to greenlight Archewell's first series, one anonymous executive claimed. And now those creators have gone to Hulu or nowhere at all. In writers' rooms and studio back channels, the Sussex deal is being labeled the worst kind of celebrity freeloading. Not just because the content flopped, but because the couple allegedly used their titles and victimhood narrative to leapfrog over people who'd worked years to earn a seat at the table. Some Netflix insiders now admit the deal was a calculated risk they never should have taken. But the fallout wasn't just internal. The termination allegedly hit like a punch to the gut. Sources say Meghan and Harry were not only blindsided, but furious. And their reaction? Volcanic. Insiders close to Archewell described the mood inside their Santa Barbara offices as chaotic and combustive. Meghan, reportedly seething, called the decision a betrayal of trust and accused Netflix of succumbing to fear-based optics instead of leadership. One staffer claimed she screamed during a private call with a senior producer, demanding to know who made the final decision and why she wasn't consulted. Harry, while less confrontational, allegedly spiraled in his own way.
Mornings are as I get the kids off to school. You're making fruit parfait crudité boards? Like
my God.
whom? She is Harry Sussex. I have no idea. And no, Meghan, no one knew that. Like, why are you correct?
About to. If you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden. But they've barely been seen or heard at all, have they? Well, on Thursday, they'll quietly and apologetically release their $100 million.
We'll see King Charles do this because I don't think that he likes the fact that he's been accused of racism towards his grandchildren.
Wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. And I think what King Charles should do, he should just strip them of the titles.
One source said he was deeply shaken, reportedly pacing around their estate in disbelief, repeating the phrase, "We did everything they asked." Another insider claimed he felt used and discarded, convinced that Netflix had exploited their titles and names, only to abandon them when the media tide turned. It didn't stop there. Frantic calls reportedly flooded Netflix HQ within hours. Meghan's legal team allegedly requested an emergency mediation session. PR reps were instructed to start immediate damage control. Behind closed doors, some emails allegedly threatened to go public with internal disputes, hoping to pressure Netflix into rethinking their position. But Netflix didn't flinch. Executives stood firm, reportedly telling Archewell reps that the platform was moving in a different direction and had no further need for creative collaboration. It wasn't up for negotiation. Even Archewell staff, some of whom had uprooted their lives to work full-time on Sussex-branded projects, were stunned.
Before we even get to the main event.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile.
I don't know about you, but I grew up with South Park, and nothing in their sights has ever been sacred. And they do have this, in my view, perfectly irreverent way of reading the room. This week, they've taken a swipe at Harry and Meghan, and it's gone viral.
We want privacy! We want privacy! Thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be here. It's great. So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family. You've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it.
Back of your head. This gruesome twosome only survived by cashing in on what's left of their royal status now. I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags.
One former coordinator, now speaking anonymously, said, "It felt like the rug was pulled out from under all of us. We had no warning, just silence. And then nothing." In public, the couple is reportedly working overtime to spin the decision as mutual, with whispers of a refocusing on new projects. But insiders say that behind closed doors, there's no spin strong enough to hide the truth. They were dropped. Hard. And this wasn't the first time. This isn't unfamiliar territory. The Netflix implosion follows another high-profile deal gone up in flames, Spotify. In 2020, the Sussexes signed a multi-million-dollar podcast deal with Spotify, promising a slate of compelling audio content under their Archewell audio brand. The world waited. And waited. By 2023, only one full podcast season had been released, Archetypes, hosted by Meghan. And while it made headlines, industry insiders say it underperformed on key metrics like engagement, retention, and reach. Spotify executives allegedly grew frustrated with the lack of follow-through and the couple's rumored demands for creative control and special treatment. Eventually, Spotify pulled the plug. But they didn't go quietly. One senior Spotify executive went viral for his scathing remarks, calling the couple grifters and publicly questioning their commitment. The comments sparked outrage, but also rang true to many in the media industry who had begun to see the pattern. Now, with Netflix following suit, even the most loyal Sussex defenders are being forced to confront the reality. The couple has lost two of the biggest media platforms in the world. 2 blockbuster partnerships. 2 spectacular crashes. And a reputation that's morphing from visionary to volatile. Analysts say there's never been a modern celebrity couple, royal or otherwise, who had this level of institutional support and let it collapse so completely. This isn't just a bad PR week. It's an historic flameout. But beneath all the reputational damage lies the real wound. The money. Forget headlines. Forget reputation. The most brutal consequence of Netflix's alleged pullout? The money. The original deal, rumored to be worth around $100 million, was more than just a splashy figure. It was a lifeline. Archewell's infrastructure, its staff, studios, creative consultants, brand strategists, legal team, was allegedly built around the assumption that Netflix funding would stretch across multiple years and multiple high ROI projects. Now, that entire financial forecast is reportedly in freefall. Sources say at least $30 million had already been committed to in-house costs, salaries, office leases, development retainers, money that now may never be recouped. Several upcoming projects, including a children's animated special and a rumored climate-focused documentary, are allegedly either on pause or dead in the water. And while Meghan and Harry have other business ventures, none offer the kind of scale or stability that Netflix provided. Without new streaming deals, they may be forced to pivot hard. That means lower-tier partnerships, short-term brand endorsements, possibly even subscription-based self-funding models just to stay afloat. One royal finance expert called it plainly, they've gone from major players to freelance hopefuls. Fast. What's more, Hollywood knows it. Whispers are circulating among entertainment insiders that Netflix's decision has quietly signaled to other platforms that the Sussexes are no longer a safe bet. If the biggest fish in the pond just walked away, who's going to dive in next? And while the couple is reportedly regrouping, the betrayal didn't come from just the industry. It came from somewhere far more personal within their own house of cards. A former Netflix staffer allegedly spoke out in a private Discord chat that later leaked. Their claim? Working with the Sussexes was miserable. Demands changed daily. Creative direction was erratic. Meghan allegedly overruled experienced producers. Harry barely showed up. They treated us like palace staff, the staffer reportedly wrote. Like we were there to serve a royal vision, not make actual television. The source went on to allege that Archewell staff tried to bypass standard Netflix protocols, insisting on special treatment, private screenings, and high-level approvals for even basic post-production steps. Multiple execs reportedly raised red flags internally, but were overruled for PR optics. Eventually, even the Netflix board allegedly grew tired of defending the deal. That's when the term toxic was first used. The numbers don't lie, and neither do the comments. A recent sentiment analysis of Netflix viewership chatter showed a sharp decline in audience interest and favorability. Hashtags once filled with support are now buried under sarcasm, criticism, and parody. YouTube reaction videos rake in more views than the actual Sussex shows. TikTokers openly mock their content with filters and side-by-side, watch me cringe clips. Even loyal fans are turning. Comments include lines like, "Used to root for them, now I just roll my eyes." Feels more like manipulation than storytelling. They're still talking about the royals? Move on. It's a brutal but telling sign. Even if Netflix walked away, it was the audience who let go first. Where do they go from here? Insiders say Meghan is already floating new ideas, rebranding as a wellness guru, launching luxury products, or pivoting to children's content. Harry, reportedly more withdrawn, is allegedly considering stepping back from public-facing projects entirely. But streaming platforms aren't lining up. Amazon? Silent. Apple? Cold. Hulu? Uninterested. Insiders claim that the industry has moved on, and that the Sussexes' baggage is no longer worth the gamble. Even philanthropic circles are backing away quietly, citing optics risks and overexposure fatigue. They started with royal titles, global deals, and the benefit of every doubt. Now they may be left with silence, scrutiny, and a brand they can't give away for free. The Sussexes entered Hollywood with more momentum than anyone in recent history. Netflix,
Spotify,
Archewell, titles,
teams,
cameras. But momentum only matters if you deliver. And now, 2 failed mega deals, 0 hits, and a brand that's become the punchline of an industry they thought they could conquer. The Netflix deal wasn't just a contract. It was a symbol of what could have been. Now, it's a headline. And the question everyone's asking is this: did Meghan and Harry burn every bridge they had? Or will they rise from the ashes again, louder, bolder, and even more out of touch?